Okay. What is going on, everybody? My name is Mangg. Today we're going to be playing Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead. This is, hold on, let me see if I can find some sort of official wiki definition. Oh, here's the official website here. Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead is a turn-based survival game set in a post-apocalyptic world. Struggle to survive in a harsh, persistent, procedurally generated world. Scavenge the remnants of a dead civilization for food, equipment, or, if you're lucky, a vehicle with a full tank of gas to get you the hell out of Dodge. Fight to defeat or escape from a wide variety of powerful monstrosities, from zombies to giant insects to killer robots and things far stranger and deadlier, and against the others like yourself that want what you have. So yeah, it's a 2D procedurally generated survival game set in a post-apocalyptic world with the main threat being zombies, but there also being a host of other weird mutated or eldritch creatures. It's very sort of old school, turn-based, sort of dungeon crawl, stone soup kind of stuff with the top-down kind of perspective, completely turn-based, very methodical. You're going to want to think about every action you take and everything you're doing, always planning out your moves, and it's very, very, very in-depth with the possibilities of loot you can find, things you can craft, instructions you can put together, like, just, you'll see. I somewhat recently did a stream of this game just to show it off for a couple hours, but now we're gonna actually do a full LP of it, depending basically on when, or whenever I die. If I die within like the first couple hours, I'll probably start just a new character and we'll continue from there, but if I die after 10 episodes, then that'll be it. So, first thing that we're going to want to do is create our world. This basically determines some basic settings of how your world is procedurally generated, as well as if you are including various mods. There's a whole slew of mods for this game. We're not going to be playing with almost any of them, because a lot of them are big changes or, weird sort of stuff. Adding magic in, like Magicalism, things like that. You can reduce different types of monsters. I mean, there's just the two that I have available to me, but there's other mods that reduce, take out the Cthulhu stuff, or take out zombies, or certain types of zombies, or blah blah blah. But the ones that we're playing with are disable NPC needs. So there are going to be various NPCs scattered throughout the world. This makes it so they don't actually require food, water, or rest. They're just sort of like a normal NPC that you'd expect. I mean, it's insane to think that normally, without that mod, NPCs just have to exist and survive just like you do. It's kind of cool, but yeah, we'll leave it off. There's a whole military profession pack, but we're not going to be playing with any of them, so we don't need that. Dex increases your speed. We could, but we don't. I don't want to. The one that we're gonna do is stats through skills, and that's because I watched a series of like learning videos from a YouTuber named Vormithrax, and this is what he had on. So this lets your stats raise via skill progression, which just sounds fine to me. It seems good. You can also do stat progression through kills, so you like earn XP and you can spend it, which is very traditional, but it's fine. World options. We're not going to mess with any of this. you know, you can change like how far apart cities are, how big cities are. You can adjust the spawn rates for monsters and items. You can adjust speed and resilience of monsters if you want just an easier game or a harder game, however you like it. Yeah, and you can change the seasons if there's wandering hordes of zombies, which is very... You probably don't want this if you're starting out. That's scary as hell. Logical, makes sense, but scary as hell, so... And you can also have it so zombies start around shelters, which again is just like, if you want it to be a little tougher. But, no. And our world name will just be Mangg's World. How incredible. Okay. Then we're going to go to a new game in that world. We're going to make a custom character. And we'll go through the care gen somewhat briefly. I know what I want for the most part, so we're not going to mess around too much. We're going to just go for a very basic beginner build that tries to be as good as possible for a beginner. There's 3 different ways to build your character. You can do multiple pools so that your stats, traits, and skills all have separate point pools, and you can't mix and match. So it forces you to have a certain number of stats, certain number of traits, a certain number of skills. That's fine. I mean, we could go that route. Freeform, there's no limits of any kind. You could make the most OP character imaginable if you wanted. And then single pool is what we're going to do. This is so that all your stuff shares a single point pool. So you could just have loads and stats and no traits and skills to start with, which is not the worst thing imaginable. But this is sort of a good balance of lets you do what you want, but within a restraint. Then you're going to pick your starting scenario. There's a lot of them. Evacuee is the recommended starter one. This is just... You're in a government evac shelter, sort of at the start of the apocalypse, and it's a relatively safe location outside of town, and you're not going to be surrounded by zombies, and there's a decent number of, like, useful materials in your starting shelter. So it's the recommended one. But there's all sorts of ones that you could be at the bottom of a mine, or you could be stuck in a city full of the risen dead. You could be a squatter in an abandoned building. You could be ambushed. You could be in a prison during the apocalypse and when all this, everything breaks out. All sorts of stuff. A helicopter crash in the middle of nowhere. I mean, there's some really interesting scenarios. Just for fun, I clicked like random character, which puts you in a random scenario, and I got the helicopter crash one. And so I was just like in a helicopter with 3 zombie soldiers, and it was just like I was on like an island or something. I was like, what the fuck do I do with it? I was still learning, and it was just like I died instantly. But yeah, I mean, there's stuff, and then there's the actual challenge runs. That are just like you're in a camp of Migo, you're on a prison on an island, or really bad day where you start drunk, depressed, infected, surrounded by fire, and sick with the flu. Great. But no, we're gonna be going with Evacuee. So you'll notice, if you can read it at the top, some of these scenarios give you extra points to build your character with because they're more difficult. And some of them take away points because they're actually an easier start, where you're at an advantageous position compared to normal because you're starting with a lot of types of resources, or you're starting with good equipment of some kind. Last Flight, you start with a helicopter. It has no fuel, I don't think, but you have a helicopter. Yeah, stuff like that. But yeah, Evacuee is what we're doing. And we have 8 points to spend. So first is our profession. You can see that really without any mods involved whatsoever, there's a shit ton of them. Some of them are bad and shit, so they sort of give you points. Like being a failed cyborg is not great. You're filled with broken and useless bionics, and you have an ethanol power supply. So yeah, those give you a couple points because it's a little bit rough, or being like a hobo or a shower victim. Shower victim, basically the apocalypse started when you stepped out of a nice hot shower, so all you have with you is some soap and a towel. Yeah, it's a little tougher. But then there's a lot of professions that cost you points because they give you various starting equipment and things like that. They also give you starting skills, but that's not anything absurd. I think it's just like stuff that you could get on your own just during character creation. So it's mostly like starting equipment and proficiencies. But anyways, we're going to be going with Survivor. Doesn't really start with any sort of profession stuff, proficiencies, or anything like that. But it starts with some just good, basic, normal clothes, long sleeve shirt, jeans, sneakers, a messenger bag, a watch. You have a cell phone, 20 matches, a pocket knife, and a bottle of clean water. So it's just a good basic start. Then your hobbies. So some of these are negative hobbies, such as being an alcoholic. You found solace in the bottom of a bottle. Goddamn, you need a drink. So that's, you start with alcohol withdrawal and disorganized. So this is a negative thing, so it gives you a point to spend elsewhere. Or being a crackhead. Cocaine, it is indeed a hell of a drug. So you start with crack cocaine withdrawal and stimulant psychosis. Yeah, a heroin addict, stuff like that. I mean, that's definitely a challenge, because you either have to fight the withdrawal or find a bunch of heroin, which is not as difficult as maybe you think, but it can be. But a bunch of them are positive in various ways. They give you different proficiencies, traits, and what am I thinking of? XP with certain skills. So like being a DIY crafter. This gives you competent XP with fabrication, beginner XP with tailoring, and you have proficiencies in pottery, carving, basket weaving, stretch fabric, and the principles of leatherworking. This is a very nice little package to start out with in your survival situation. Otherwise, yeah, home gunsmith, that's probably not good. Sewing, that's not bad. Yeah, I don't know how recent of an addition hobbies are. You go with baseball, so you're good with bashing weapons and athletics. And that costs you 2 points. It's not bad. It's not bad. Parkour, rope making, gardening, gives you XP with survival and food handling. That's 1 point. Let's go with that. Let's go with gardening. So we're gonna snap up gardening. And you can take multiple of them. You could be a gardener that also is a heroin addict if you wanted, but okay, stats. Stats are probably the most important thing for you to start out with, more than anything else. There's only 4. There's strength, which determines your HP, your carry weight, and damage bonus for bashing. Also makes you more resistant to many diseases and poisons, and makes actions which require brute force more effective. Dexterity gives you a bonus to hit in melee. Helps you hit enemies with throwing weapons, and helps you with ranged weapons, and it also enhances many actions which require finesse. Intelligence affects your reading time, affects your skill rust delay, so how quickly skills fall off that you don't use, and gives you a bonus to your crafting ability, like anything you decide for crafting, anything you're doing with crafting. Also installing bionics and interacting with NPCs. And then perception affects your aiming penalty and for detecting traps and other things of interest. Before we put points in that, let's go over to traits. So these are all sorts of just miscellaneous positive or negative things that can give or take away points. So, deft. You better at recovering from a miss in melee combat. Fast healer. Wounds heal themselves quicker than usual. 50% faster whilst asleep. 20% faster whilst awake. Broken limbs heal twice as fast. Fast learner allows you to learn skills much faster. Fast reader. Fast reflexes. High adrenaline can give you a temporary rush. Increases your speed and strength. There's a lot. So, like I said, we're not going to spend too much time just talking about all of them. We're just going to go with... we're going to go with Glass Jaw, which reduces the HP of our head by 20%. We're going to go with Heavy Sleeper, which noises are unlikely to wake us up. It's actually a good thing. If you're in a location that you know to be secure. Because there's a lot of, you know, just random bullshit noises that can wake you up. We're gonna take Lightweight. Alcohol and drugs go straight to our head, so we suffer negative effects of these for longer. We're gonna take Poor Hearing, so we don't hear quiet or far off noises. And we're gonna take Ugly. So people that care about appearance will react poorly to us. That's acceptable for 1 point. Over on the good side, though, we're gonna be taking... Strong Back. So our maximum weight carried is increased by 35%. Actually, I'm not sure about this. I took it a bunch of times before, but generally your problem with carrying stuff is not weight, but it's rather volume. And this doesn't help shit with volume, so I'm not sure. I think Quick is good. 10% bonus to action points. That costs 3 points. Night Vision's good. I don't know if we want anything else or we want to just put it all into stats and skills. That's probably fine. So for stats, we could just do 10 across the board, but that leaves 1 point for skills. Although we are getting the bonus from being a gardener, which is survival and food handling. That might be okay. I mean, we might be able to live with that. Then we'll put 1 point into fabrication. Okay, let's go with that. Alright. And our name will be Mangg. No, let's go with... I just did a Mangg. Let's do a Taco B. Taco B. Female. Done and done. Finished. Alright. So, this is, this is the evac shelter, the government evac shelter we're starting in. It's very dark in here, and that's because, even though it's 8 a.m., all the shades are closed. So, as a rundown, on the right side... I don't know, you can't see my cursor. I'm not going to be using my mouse at all, so I guess it doesn't really matter, but... at the top on the right side, you have head, torso, arms, legs. That's the health of your limbs and your chest and your head. Shows how much sound you're making, what your overall mood is. Your focus, that's a number that determines... basically how well you're learning something, like how much XP you're getting whenever you do an action that's related to a skill. So that's affected by like your morale and your pain and stuff like that. So you generally want it to be around 100. Your stamina, which can run out when you're doing strenuous activities like running and attacking and stuff. And then if it runs out in a combat situation, you're probably dead. Speed, your move, and then your stats, whether safe mode is off or on. We'll explain that later. How weary you are. Your location, what the sky is looking like, what the light is in your current position, the date, the time, what you're wielding, if you have a martial arts fighting style active, your overall pain level, your overall rest, tiredness level, your temperature, your thirst, your hunger, and your overall weight. So right now we're starting as overweight. Then below that we have this big log section. You have survived the initial wave of panic and have achieved relative safety in one of the many government evac shelters. And then below that is like a mini map, and that'll tell us if there's anything, any threats or anything like that near us. Okay, so let's go ahead and pop open some windows. All right. And from here, we can open up this sort of general look thing, which will look at every item and creature that we can see within our view range, and we can just sort of cycle through that. So the only item next that we can see is some bottles of clean water. The only creature is the NPC that starts with us here. Siobhan Kitchen, wielding a throwing knife, wearing boy shorts, and other things. So yeah. Generally, we're pretty safe all around. But since we usually start like in the forest or swamp, it's usually worth a check to see if there's any like giant wasps hanging out. Alright, we're all clear. So we can move around the evac shelter here and see what's all stocked. It's really just the two of us here, so it's all for us, and this woman, guy, whatever, is not going to take any of it, so it's all for us. Here we have a scrub brush and two small cardboard boxes that each contain detergent, as you can see there on the left-hand side. And there's a lot of info available for pretty much every item. Anything you can use as a weapon, even this scrub brush, it'll tell you how much damage it'll do, if there's a hit bonus or negative. When it says moves per attack, basically every action in the game takes up a certain number of movement points. So that's everything, whether it is a movement or whether it's an attack, crafting, applying a bandage, blowing a whistle, anything is a certain number of movement points. So that's sort of moves per attack is a general. I don't know. You know, it's all sort of relative, I guess. But the less movement points, the quicker the attack is. The more movement points, the slower it is. And then it'll tell you a typical DPS, damage per second, in a best case scenario against a completely unarmored, no dodge target. That's 4.63 DPS. Against an agile target that can dodge and stuff, 2.7. Against an armored target, it won't do jack shit. Then it'll tell you how you can repair this item if it's damaged. It'll tell you any special traits about it. It says this does not conduct electricity, and it can be clipped onto a belt loop. It'll tell you everything that you can store this in, from tying it up with rope to putting it in belts, holsters, blah blah blah. It's not everything you can store it in, obviously, but that's storing it in for like special quick access, I guess. Then I'll tell you its overall price, which is sort of useless, I think. I don't know. I have not played the game nearly enough to really know. And then the barter value, which if you're just trading with someone, they'll treat it as about worth 10 cents. And then if you know any crafting recipes that can use that item, that will also be listed. So you can use the scrub brush to help create a washing kit. Yeah. And then the reason this is listed as 2 small cardboard boxes containing detergent is because obviously you can dump out the detergent and reuse the cardboard box. So it'll tell you then, it'll tell you all the info on the cardboard boxes, and then it'll say, okay, there's detergent in there. Now, I don't know how to view info on the detergent from this screen. I don't know how to do that. So, as far as I know, you have to pick up the detergent. Well, maybe if you go into the advanced menu. But no. Oh, now I just took it all. I don't know if I want to take it all. Yeah, okay. Anyways, moving on. Here we have 6 folded emergency blankets and 7 emergency jackets. Whole slew of information on the emergency jacket. So armor's a little different, obviously. It's not going to tell you generally how much damage you can do with it. It'll tell you what it covers. So the emergency jacket covers your torso and both your arms. It's an outer layer thing, so that means that, well, you could put stuff, you could like wear your undershirt on the outside of it. You're gonna suffer an encumbrance penalty if you do that. It'll say the average coverage, and then how much warmth it provides those sections of your body. And then it goes into a little bit more detail about the encumbrance. So it's 13 encumbrance to arms and torso, which is pretty high. For a torso, I guess it's not terrible. And then, since it's not rigid, it's not a rigid object, it becomes more encumbering when you put objects into, like, its pockets. So that's why it says when full, it becomes 15 encumbrance. The coverage of both arms and torso is 90%. So when an attack would occur that would connect with your torso or your arms, and you have this jacket there will be a dice roll to determine whether the attack hits the jacket or whether it bypasses the jacket to hit that 10% zone where you're not covered. Like, I don't know, your neckline or something like that. So if it's within that 90%, which it most likely will be, then it hits the jacket first, and your jacket has a chance to sort of protect you from the blow a little bit. If it does hit that 10% number, though, and bypasses the jacket, then it goes to whatever the next layer is. So, yeah, proper coverage and proper layering are important. Tells you how to repair it using wooden needles and stuff. Can be reinforced if you want to make it even stronger. Not rigid, doesn't conduct to electricity. It has a hood to keep your head warm if your head is unencumbered, so it can also protect your head. It's generally worn over clothing. It has pockets to warm your hands when you're wielding nothing. Yep, it's that specific. It's designed to keep you dry in the rain. It won't let water through unless you jump in the river. But it can't be refitted, upsized, or downsized. So fortunately, all these jackets fit us, because the encumbrance would be worse if it didn't fit. And encumbrance is really important, because if you're over encumbered, or basically any amount of encumbrance affects your ability to do actions. If you're completely naked, you are totally free. You know, there's nothing physical restricting your movements and your attacks and things like that. But obviously that's probably not how you want to play. If you want to survive. So, but everything you put on restricts your movement and your actions and your attacks in some way. So yeah, you can load on and wear, like, you know, you could walk around in full plate armor if you wanted, but that's super encumbering, and it's going to be hard for you to dodge, you know, impossible to dodge, really, and it's going to be hard for you to actually swing and attack and hit people. So, generally you want to reach a good balance of encumbrance. for now, we are going to wear one of these jackets because we can use the extra little protection. So we're going to put on that, and if you zoom in, you can see I'm wearing that jacket. It's a nice touch. Okay. Here we have 7 plastic bottles, which are sealed, containing clean water. 500 milliliters. Yeah, so clean water is very good, but soon enough we're going to have our own supply of unlimited clean water, because that's important for survival. We have some computer terminals here. Just displays this bullshit message from the government to, you know, don't panic and stay here and all will be well. We can't disable external power. And if we look here, they'll give us a location of the nearest refugee center. So we mark that on our map. And if we open up our map, and thanks to this graphical tile set we're using, we actually get a nice looking map. That looks good. But you can see here, there's a radio tower to the west of us. There's a swamp, a little swamp nearby. Most of this is forest. Up here, there's a house that seems to just be, oh, it's a cabin in the woods. But there's no town actually close to us. Down here, we have a hot spring, nice. And then way down here, way down here is the nearest refugee center. That's pretty damn far. There, just for reference, that's the distance we have to travel to get to the nearest refugee center. Pretty far. Okay, but it's noted. Okay, over here, we have 12 more bottles of clean water, which is nice. We have a evacuation pamphlet from FEMA. Which is nothing. I mean, it's useless. You use it as paper if you want to burn something. 22 protein rations. So you can eat protein rations. I think they're quite a bit. It's like 500 calories each or something like that. So they'll keep you alive. But if we read the description here, they basically came out of a Kickstarter campaign. But after backers received their product, a single flaw was found. Most consumers found starvation preferable to the flavor. Warehouses of the product went unsold as the company went bankrupt, providing the perfect opportunity for FEMA to scoop them up and stock the evac shelters. So they taste so horrible. Actually, I can bring up the consume menu here. They're 400 calories each, but they give -5 joy. So this is -5 to your morale. So they actually make you just feel worse after having eaten them. And joy or morale is really important. If we open up our morale menu, right now nothing is affecting our morale. We're totally, you know, we just started. So this affects your focus, which like I said is how you learn skills. But it affects a lot of things actually. Morale is pretty important. Overall, you want to stay as happy as possible. The happier the better. So we really would prefer to avoid ever eating these protein rations, but if we need to, they're there. 9 more emergency jackets. So there's a lot of emergency jackets. And what we can do with those is we can actually cut one up. We can cut them all up. And since we're not very good at doing pretty much anything, all we got out of it was a plastic chunk. Because we couldn't salvage the patchwork cotton clothing parts, which would actually be useful. We could use those to repair or sew other clothes and things like that. But there's the plastic chunk. Can use that to repair, fabricate, or reinforce plastic items. We can use it already to, if we have the other parts. We could craft a bookbinder. magnifying glass, makeshift shaving kit, plastic molds, plastic shanks, plastic Tupperware, pliers, and that's just the stuff we know of. There's a lot of recipes in the game. And then we have some lockers over here. A folded emergency blanket, so another one. A lighter containing 74 charges of butane. Another emergency jacket, another bottle of water, 2 more protein rations, another evacuation pamphlet, a plastic fork, knife, spoon, and some Tupperware. So yeah, I mean, you could, if you really wanted, you could take this plastic fork and go and try and kill a zombie with it. But that would probably go about as well as you, the person watching this, going out there and trying to kill a zombie with a plastic fork. I mean, it's certainly quick. It's a quick attack. You know, it's got some DPS. You got a -2 to your hit, though. And chances are it will break after 1 hit. So, you know. I like, though, that the spoon is just as effective, really, as a plastic fork and knife, which is to say, not really fucking effective at all. The Tupperware, however, can contain liquids or solid, whatever you want. You could contain in Tupperware. So if you wanted to store some water, you could contain this. We could even transfer water from this plastic bottle into this Tupperware. Let me show you. So I think first we have to wield the Tupperware. So we're holding the Tupperware. We go in, we go to the clean water. Or we go here to the bottle. We're gonna do unload, and we're gonna pour into the Tupperware. Done. So now our Tupperware contains clean water. Half a liter of it. There you go. And then we can go to the water that's in our Tupperware, and we can eat it. There we go. Now we're hydrated. Stay hydrated. There you go. Just showing off a little bit of the possibility. I mean, you're gonna see a lot of possibilities. Okay. Let's head into the basement. No, we don't have to hold on to the Tupperware. So the basement's pretty dark, and when it's dark and stuff, you're only going to see objects if you're right next to them. This is actually a really poorly stocked evac shelter, if I can remark on that. Usually we're much better off. Here in the bathroom we have a scrub brush, a gallon jug of ammonia. Again, we could use the ammonia, we could dump it out and use the jug, all sorts of stuff. 10 bars of soap and 3 pieces of paper. The other bathroom, gallon jug of bleach, 20 soap bars, 2 pieces of paper, and a first aid kit, which contains 3 bandages, 20 medical tape, a first aid kit instruction booklet, 6 medical gauze, bottle of saline solution, 10 aspirin, 6 adhesive bandages, a pair of scissors, and a small bottle of antiseptic. We are going to take that, especially because we're going to read that instruction booklet so we can learn how to do first aid. It also has basically the same set of objects, including another first aid kit. So we can take that and dump that upstairs. But that's all she wrote. There's also water in the toilets, but it's not clean to drink. So let's dump our... let's dump one of the first aid kits here. So there we go. We could actually grab everything and consolidate it all and organize it. Feel like there's lockers behind there, because there should be. And then you see this door is actually locked. This door is not. We can go outside, but this door is locked. That leads to the roof, which we do want to go up. But first, we need... we need to make some objects so that we can actually start deconstructing various things around here, such as the benches or the cupboards. because we can use the wooden planks and things to start fires and blah blah blah. We could just smash things, but it's really not effective. It's not as effective as deconstructing it. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go outside and try and get a rock. Oh, I see that there's some wolves out here. Yes. It's much faster than me, but it's not hostile yet. I've never encountered something so potentially dangerous in my starting location. So I don't know what to make of that. But anyways, if we ignore the wolves for a moment, we're looking for a rock. So I'm gonna first forage through the bushes here, which could provide all manner of useful things, including potentially a rock. Oh, there's a stick there. Hold on. We got a stick, so we can hold the stick. It's pretty good. And we might be able to break down this tree and get some long sticks. Now, you'll see that even though we found 3 of them, we can only carry 1 of them. And the only reason we can carry 1 of them is because we can hold it in our hands. And you'll notice I had to dump my other stick on the ground. There's 3 factors that determine how much you can carry and what you can carry. The first is weight, which I presume you're very familiar with if you've played any sort of RPG video game. Your character can only carry so much weight before they just stop being able to move. That's simple. The second is volume. This is how much physical space you can attach and you know, place objects into on your person. You can carry an object in your hands, of course, but you can only carry 1 object in your hands at a time. It could be like a container, so you could carry like a bag full of stuff. But otherwise, it's 1 object. Everything else has to be in a container, such as a bag, a backpack, a pocket, a knapsack, a belt, whatever. There has to be a container of some sort to put every object you're carrying. So if we open up our inventory, you'll see my items worn. My jeans are holding 4 items. My cell phone, my matchbook, my pocket knife, and a plastic bottle. My emergency jacket is carrying 3 items. That's hickory nuts, plastic bottle, and plastic Tupperware. My messenger bag, which is also containing a first aid kit, which is carrying 9 items. Okay, yeah. Yeah, everything, okay, yeah, everything is right. I was like, where's the pair of scissors? But it's in the first aid kit. Yeah, so everything is accounted for in some sort of container. Nothing is free floating in space. So that's a big factor when you're trying to, you know, you're rummaging through houses and stuff like that, and you're trying to cram everything in. You can't just, oh, well, you know, I can carry 150 pounds. I'm going to take 50,000 rags because they weigh almost nothing, you know, whatever, you know, volume. Everything has, you know, a volume that it takes up, and you can only carry so much. The third thing, and the reason that we can't carry these sticks, is length. Every container has a maximum length of object that it can carry. So the jeans, the maximum length, 1 pocket has a maximum length of 7, oh no, 2 pockets have maximum length of 7 inches. The other 2 pockets have maximum length of 6 inches. So very short, small objects. The emergency jacket has 2 pockets, maximum length of 5 inches, and that's it. Messenger bag, though, it's 1 pocket, it's 1 bag, with a maximum length of 19 inches. So that's where we can put our longer stuff. That's it. anything longer than 19 inches currently I have to put in my hands, and so that's why we can't carry multiple sticks, because we can only carry one object in our hand. Now I know what you're thinking. Yes, you could just physically carry multiple sticks. I know it's not uber realistic to the end of the world. You could get multiple sticks together, tie them together, and you could carry the tied sticks together as a bundle, but no, you can't physically hold 3 sticks. It's the way it is, man. So that's that. But now that we have a long stick, yeah, I mean, a long stick's not a great weapon, but I'm still looking for a rock. Not because I want to use a rock as a weapon. On the contrary. But I might be able to... There we go. I smashed open a little boulder and we got 5 rocks and some flint, which we could use to make some stuff. But the rock is what I care about. So now we're going to head back to the evac shelter. Avoiding these wolves that are lurking outside my door. And with the rock in hand, we're going to go over to one of these lockers, and we're just going to smash it apart. We're going to take our big stick, and we're going to smash this thing apart. It's loud, it takes up, you know, energy, and it's not a very efficient way of getting components out of whatever you're smashing. It's the least efficient way. So if we could actually disassemble the locker with tools, we would get, you know, all the components. We'd break it apart into all its components. But when you smash it, it doesn't exactly come intact in the end. But it's the only way to get what we need. So we didn't get what we needed, of course, because there's only a small chance you'll get what you want. We got 16 pieces of scrap metal and 9 small metal sheets. Okay, so that's not what we want. And what we want is a pipe. There's the pipe. So we're going to take the pipe. We're going to drop our stick because we can't put the pipe in a bag. And now we're going to open up the crafting menu. You can open it up from anywhere with just crafting in your hands or on the ground, but you get a penalty to the speed because you don't have a good surface. So instead, you want to go to an actual crafting, like a cupboard or a table or a workbench or whatever, and craft there. All right, so crafting menu. This is not the construction menu, which we'll get to. The crafting menu is broken up into 8 categories: weapons, ammo, food, chemicals, electronics, armor, other, and animals. So this is the weapon stuff. This is not everything in the game that you can craft. This is only the stuff that we know how to craft based on our skills. And our skills are very shit right now. So it's impressive that we can make this much stuff. So as you get more skills, you're going to learn how to make more stuff just intuitively. But there's also books all over the place that contain new recipes. You know, new survival sort of recipes, new cooking recipes, you know, new ammo recipes, whatever. Electronic recipes. So this is all the weapons that we could potentially make with the right materials and tools. The only one we can make as we're standing here is a rock in a sock, and we don't want to do that. Ammo, not much that we know how to make. Crude wooden arrows and smokeless gunpowder, but, you know, we don't have the... Yeah. We could make a pebble, but we don't want to do that. Food. We already know how to make this much food thanks to our 1 food handling from being a gardener. So this is every recipe you get to immediately with 1 food handling. It's a lot. It's really just a load. Really a lot. Now a lot of these are just like basic stuff. I mean, cheese sandwich. You take any form of bread, any form of cheese, you slap it together, you got a cheese sandwich. But making a cheese sandwich is generally much a better idea than just eating bread and cheese separately. So this is important. And you could then take that cheese sandwich and grill it to get the grilled cheese sandwich, which is down here. That's even better. Not calorically, it's the same calories, but it's much more enjoyable. And enjoyability is important because of morale, like I said. Everything is either perishable, non-perishable, has a certain amount of shelf life. You can eat stuff after the shelf life, unless it's rotten, then you probably really don't want to eat it. Some things taste better while they're hot, some things taste better while they're cold. It also gives you how much time it takes to consume it, and its vitamin contents, because, you know, go figure, fucking vitamins. So yeah, that's all the food. Chemicals, mostly, I have made almost nothing in here. I don't know much about chemicals. We do, soap is nice for cleaning filthy objects, but we'll get to that. If we had some rolling paper and some marijuana, we could make joints. That's fun. Electronics, we only know how to make one thing, that's an antenna. If we can make an antenna out of butter knives. Armor, we know how to make some stuff with our tailoring 0 skill. You know, we can make a t-shirt by basically just cutting off the sleeves of our long sleeve shirt, which is not, you know, it's not the worst idea. If well, not right now, there'd be no reason, but if we had like a lot of better armor and we didn't need the extra layers of having a long sleeve shirt, just cut it off. Or you could make gloves out of your socks with holes poked through them. That's pretty hobo. Blindfold is useful if you're sleeping in a bright area. You can just slap a blindfold on and go to bed. This is going to be the biggest category generally besides food. Yeah, so other is basically, I mean, it's almost like we need more categories because so much falls into other. It's so much stuff. A folding wire basket, a large clay pot, a mess tin, a pair of wheelchair wheels, a plastic jack-o'-lantern, a rebar grate, a steel bottle, a tarp rain catcher, a towel hanger, a wooden shovel, a bone needle, a cattail jelly, a digging stick, a fire barrel, a grappling hook. I mean, it's just so much. And every time I look through this list, I see something I've never like seen before and like thought about, and it's just like, oh, you can make that? Okay. You want to make a crack pipe? Make a fucking crack pipe, you know? They let you do whatever you want. And then there's stuff for animals like dog armor and things like that, but yeah. Right, so, the reason that I went into that menu was because we wanted to use the pipe to make a makeshift crowbar, which is basically just hammering a pipe with a rock into a shape that resembles a crowbar. But this gives us, if you look in towards the middle there, it gives us level 1 hammering quality and level 1 prying quality. And a lot of skill, or a lot of crafting, a lot of actions require you having tools or items with certain qualities. So to make the makeshift crowbar, the reason we went and got the rock is because we needed a tool with a hammering quality of 1 or more. And unfortunately, a rock has a hammering quality of 1. So the makeshift crowbar also has that, but also has the level 1 prying quality. So there we go. We made the crowbar. It went on the counter. We can grab it and we can put it in our hands. So now we have a tool that we can pry open stuff. Now in the old days, this would be enough to actually pry open doors and windows, but they changed this so that you need a real crowbar to open doors or windows. So instead of prying open this locked door, we instead have to smash it down which is pretty easy because we're pretty strong. So smashing the door gives us splintered wood, door hinges, nails, and planks. Okay. And there's some more splintered wood and nails. We'll go up to the roof. Yes. The graphics there are pretty ridiculous. That's what the graphics normally look like without the special tile graphics we have. Up here we have another pipe. That's nice. We have a standing water tank. Or a standing tank. We have a roof turbine vent, which we could smash, but we're not going to. And then we have a solar panel. Solar panel is really actually useful. And I'm wondering if there's a way to do what I want without smashing it. Because if you get a battery charger, you can hook it up to the solar panel and charge like your flashlights and things, your cell phone and things like that. So, I don't know. Let me try smashing this turbine vent. Scrap metal, small metal sheets. What we're looking to make is a makeshift hammer. So if I go in here and I search hammer, we need a plank or a stick, and then a chunk of steel or a lump of steel. Not sure if you can get it from the computers. So that's why generally you always smash the solar panel, because that's the only way to get a chunk of steel. So let it be done. Amplifier circuits, 3 chunks of steel, 14 copper wire, 2 plastic chunks, 18 scrap metal, and 4 solar cells. So instead of picking that all up and putting it in our bags, I'm just going to haul it along the ground. It says that it's slower since our hands are not free, so we can actually dump the makeshift crowbar in there as well. And we're gonna pick up this stuff along the way, go downstairs, pick up all this along the way, and dump it next to our crafting table here. Okay, so then let me grab my crowbar again. Now if we go into the crafting menu, there's going to be way more things we can make, including not the makeshift hammer, because we're still missing the strings. Let me just double check that. So 2 short cordage pieces, 2 short strings, 100 plant fiber, 100 sinew, 100 thread, or 100 yarn. Any of those things will suffice. Now, the easiest way to get what we want is to tear down the curtains. But I'm wondering if I can't cut up some jackets. This is sort of stupid because we're wasting a lot of it because our skills are shit and our cutting thing is shit. So, yeah, I don't think we're gonna get it. So, I was hoping to avoid tearing down a curtain, but it looks like that's not gonna be possible. So we're gonna tear down the curtain. That gave us 2 sheets, which we could use as curtains or bed sheets, or cut them up into rags. So now, what we want to do, we have a long string. We need 2 short strings. So we're gonna go ahead and cut up the long string into 6 short ones. Okay? And now we go into the crafting menu. And we have makeshift hammer, because we have all the things we need. It's a piece of metal affixed to a stick. Okay, now it's going to ask us if we want to use the stick that's nearby, or one of the planks that's nearby. I don't know the value of either one enough to really make a judgment call, but we'll go with stick. So now we have a makeshift hammer. There it is. So we put that in our bag. There's one more thing we need to fully be able to disassemble objects, and that is... oh, God. That is a screwdriver. It's not a makeshift one, it's just a Phillips head screwdriver. I don't know how we're making it here, but we can. It has a level 1 screwdriving quality. All right, and we can use chunks of steel or scrap metal. We're going to use scrap metal. It's less valuable, I do know that. And there we have it. We have our screwdriver. So now with all those three things, we can then go to one of these benches, and we can open up the construction menu, which I didn't show you. So this is everything that you can construct. And this includes walls, doors, windows, coffins, crates, entertainment centers, benches, beds, fermenting vats, lean-tos, gates, fences, wall, you know, everything. Charcoal kilns, bridges, meat hooks. This is everything that I know how to make. Including a gravity treadmill. No, I don't know how to make that. Okay, maybe this menu is a little different, where it just shows you everything even if you don't have the skills. I'm not sure, but anyways, we're gonna truncate that by only showing the stuff that's available to us. And what we want is Deconstruct Furniture. Takes 20 minutes. We actually didn't need the hammer, but we want the hammer for other stuff. So there we go. We deconstructed part of the bench. That gave us 10 nails and 4 planks. Very simple. But planks are useful because they are firewood. You know, dozens of things you could craft with it. And so we can just go through and spend an hour and 20 minutes deconstructing that whole bench. And then we can haul it all together, and we have a big pile of firewood there. And some other stuff. Okay, so we could actually... Let me see if I remember how to do this. So if we change this to this, and this to this, and we move planks, 17, done. Alright, so you can use this advanced inventory screen to do some specialty stuff. I could have done that by just grabbing all the planks, but that's much faster because I would have had to take each plank individually into my hand. So that's much faster. So now we've just separated the planks into their own pile, and we can start a fire now and use the planks as firewood. But we don't want to start planks. We don't want to start a fire indoor just on the ground, because that would be really stupid. So what we want to form is a brazier. This is why we needed the hammer, because we need a tool with hammering of 2 or more, and we just need 1 piece of sheet metal. And then we can create the brazier, which lets us start a contained fire indoors. Or outdoors, for that matter. But we'll be doing it indoors. Okay, so how do we get sheet metal? Well, we needed to get it from a locker. But you can't smash apart the locker to get it. It has to be deconstructed, piece by piece. That's the only way to get the sheet metal. Otherwise, it gets broken when you smash it. So, we need to deconstruct this locker here. But we're in the darkness, so I don't think it's gonna let... Yeah, it's too dark to construct right now. Just because the angle of the windows don't let in enough direct light for us. So instead, we're gonna pop open our cell phone and turn on the flashlight. And that will let us do it. And there we go. So now, let's turn off the flashlight, and you can see we got 7 pipes from deconstructing the locker, whereas we were lucky to get 1 from smashing it. 2 pieces of sheet metal, a small lock and key, and 3 small metal sheets. So, yeah, deconstructing it is the best way to get, like, the materials you probably want. So, we can take both pieces of sheet metal, but we only need 1. So, what you can do then is just press 1 and then take it, and it'll just take the 1. Which took me a long time to realize you could do that. So now we're going to go over here to the craft cupboard, and we're going to make a brazier. Take the brazier, go over here, deploy it right there. And then we're going to mark this pile of firewood as our firewood source, and then we're gonna start the fire. And now we have fire, which is pretty nice. You could do stuff with that. Yeah. I think we'll leave it off there, though. I know this was probably a lot to take in, and really the joy of this LP is going to be the shenanigans I get into as I'm unprepared and clueless. This is just all the stuff I'm really like, I know how to do this. And I just kind of need to explain all the basics to you. But next time, we're going to figure out how to boil some water, so we have a bunch of clean water to drink. And we'll probably make a bed. We'll probably make some weapons of some sort. We'll probably read that first aid kit manual. And then we might wander outside. Probably to that radio tower. That should be a relatively defenseless area. So, yeah. I think we'll do that next time. But alright, my name is Mangg. Game watching has been Cataclysm, Dark Days Ahead. See you fine folks in the next part.